All right, hey everyone, we are streaming live. We are live on Facebook, on YouTube as well. And we'll be with you here in full in just a second while I get all my links shared here. Bear with me for just a moment. All right, I think we are ready to go. All right, it is 2:53 p.m. Chief Meteorologist Eric Wilhelm here. Meteorologist Andrew Apollo is in the office as well this afternoon. We're covering ongoing severe weather, and we now have an active warning in parts of the area, and just broadly speaking across our entire television viewing area, we do have a severe thunderstorm watch that's out until 9 p.m. So the entire area covered by that watch for 6 hours going through the late afternoon and early evening. All right, let's focus first on our ongoing warning. It's in the northern half of Trumbull County. This warning is in effect until 3:45. It includes Bristol, Mesopotamia, Bloomfield, over towards Kinsman, Gustavus, and we've got a hail-producing and a wind-producing storm entering the northwestern part of Trumbull County right now, coming out of Geauga County, and it's producing some vivid lightning and some hail probably, and gusty wind around Middlefield as we speak. That's the active warning in northern Trumbull. Off to the west, we have a couple of active warnings. Big-time storms in north-central Ohio right now around the Worcester area, just to the south and east of Mansfield. Big hail producers here, and this is trucking off to the east, and assuming this keeps trucking and keeps holding its shape, we'll probably have some active warnings in our TV viewing area here as we head through the 3 and 4 o'clock hours, particularly across Mahoning and Columbiana eventually. But right now, the active warning as of right now is up in northern Trumbull County. Let's do a quick slice of this. I'll show you how big and tall this storm is. Now, these storms are erupting quickly this afternoon. They're going up really fast. You go from nothing to a big, tall thunderstorm in a big hurry. And so we'll do a slice of this, and I'll show you, just what we're talking about here. This storm has a top now up over 60,000 feet, maybe some what we call overshooting tops with this storm at the top of the thunderstorm cloud. And where you see this these brighter colors, what we call higher reflectivity, being lofted up 20, 30,000 feet in the air, that's probably not only heavy rain but some hail in this storm as well in the eastern part of Geauga County coming into Trumbull County right now. So that's why there is a warning out. And not only is it a hail threat, but we are talking about some gusty winds and any thunderstorm that manages to get going this afternoon. Right now, we have some gusty winds in Geauga County, the Burton area, east of Newberry, coming into Middlefield. None of this looks real impressive on the radar. I think this is a little bit more of a large hail threat as we speak. Now, there's no doubt some gusty winds in here, but the warning is probably because of the hail, which looks to be considerable. You can see that swath of hail coming across Burton, Middlefield as well, and coming into parts of northwestern Trumbull County. So that warning is in effect for a good 45 minutes or so. Let's broaden things out, and we'll give you some timing on the stuff that's off to the west. This activity, let's see here. Let's try to get a forward speed on this. About 40 miles per hour looks to be the forward speed on the activity that is kind of upstream to the west. So we'll give you some approximate clock times on this activity that's out towards Worcester right now. Again, everything here is approximate. We're not going to draw this exactly where it's going to track, but in the ballpark, just to give you a sense as to what to expect. This particular cluster that has some warnings on it out towards Worcester would make its way towards Canton around 3:20 to 3:25, maybe coming into our TV viewing area towards the bottom of the hour, 3:30 to 3:40. Canfield, maybe after 4 o'clock. Youngstown, maybe 4:15 or so. And so we're a good hour to an hour and a half away in some parts of our area from this particular cluster moving through, but stuff could erupt before that point. This stuff can just really start going in a hurry. We have an atmosphere that's really loaded for bear this afternoon. It is hot, it is humid. We've got a cold front heading our way. It's a good recipe for severe weather this afternoon. Let's do a radar loop here, give you a sense of the general motion. We'll zoom out a little bit. there's our line and all the warnings. Severe thunderstorm warnings extend up into northwestern PA, southwestern New York. One warning in northeast Ohio and Ashtabula, northern Trumbull County, and then the warned storm out towards Worcester right now. And again, for those just joining us, a severe thunderstorm watch for all the counties in yellow until 9 p.m. This includes just about all of eastern Ohio and western PA. It does become a tornado watch in the red in central Pennsylvania, up across western and central New York. The ingredients for tornadic activity for rotation, a little bit higher off to our east, but the chance of a tornado is certainly not zero across the WFMJ viewing area this afternoon. We have just enough wind shear that the risk of an isolated tornado is not negligible. It is something that we have to pay attention to this afternoon. Roughly a 2% risk for a lot of us, 5% just off to the east. Let me actually bring up the day one convective outlook here so you can see this a little bit easier. And tornado, there we go. So this is the, let me bring this back up. This is the day one tornado risk within 25 miles of any location, roughly from about Route 11 in eastern Ohio on east into Pennsylvania. It's a 5% risk, 2% risk off to the south and west. All these numbers seem pretty low, but when you consider the average tornado risk on any given day is very, very low, close to zero. This is many magnitudes of order higher than that. And yeah, just enough spin, enough shear in the atmosphere today that the tornado risk is not negligible, even though, again, I think it's a little higher once you get deeper into Pennsylvania, east of I-79, and especially out into central PA, up into New York as well.
And Eric, if I could jump in here,
yep.
If you bring up the velocity data and go over to the Mesopotamia area, probably the most impressive part of that cell moving in is moving into Mesopotamia as far as the winds go. Last time I queried it, probably like about close to 55 mile per hour winds. There's a little bit of pink in there. Everything like you said, kind of not terribly impressive, but probably the strongest ball of wind within that moving into the Mesopotamia area.
Yeah, and for those who are watching on Facebook and YouTube this afternoon, meteorologist Andrew DiPaolo is in the office this afternoon, and he was pointing out that this wind is starting to kick up a little bit harder in northwestern Trumbull County in the warned area right now. So we're getting some 50-plus mile-per-hour gusts being sampled by the radar here around the Mesopotamia area, around 534, around Route 87 across the northern tier of Trumbull. So we have a wind threat and we have a hail threat as well. I think there's some sizable hail falling out of the storm right now near the Geauga, Trumbull, Ashtabula line, kind of where those three counties come together. Looking at my kind of off-camera radar source here, I would bet we've got some hail of at least quarters up here, and perhaps even a little bit larger than that. And the hail potential is up there this afternoon. We're not known in our part of the country for big-time, baseball-size, big hail. A lot of times it's more the conversational stuff. It's the pea-size hail, the penny-size hail. But this is a setup today that we could see some pretty big hailstones in any of these storms, perhaps on the order of $50. Worst-case scenario, maybe even up to golf ball and higher. This is the kind of hail that can do damage. It can dent things. If it's wind-driven hail, it can plow into your siding of your house and cause problems. That's the kind of day we're talking about today. It's kind of, we have it a couple of times a year around here typically, but it's not something we see all that often. More often than not, our hail produced from thunderstorms is more the kind of the stuff that's kind of, it's neat to look at. Oh, it's hailing. Wow, how about that? But it's not something that's going to dent your siding or your car or something like that. So if your car is sitting outside this afternoon and you have a carport or a garage that you can put it in, it's a good idea while you still have a chance. If it's not storming in your location right now, it's a good idea while you have a chance to go ahead and bring that under cover, because the potential is there in any of these storms to get pretty nasty in the hail department. We've got some decent sized hail right now, north Bloomfield heading up towards Orwell, so kind of hugging the northern Trumbull and Ashtabula line and heading off to the east. So heads up in Gustavus, heading over towards Kinsman, and then eventually southeastern parts of Ashtabula County as well. Looking off to the west, this is the stuff that's upstream. Earlier on, we were noting some possible rotation with some of this activity as it moved through the Mansfield area into the Worcester area. And while I don't see anything crazy right now, I think we're still seeing maybe this is more of a downburst signature than anything, but maybe we're still seeing a little bit of rotation, but this isn't something that I don't think we would have to concern ourselves with in the short term. Anything out there is pretty ragged and maybe more of a downburst signature where the air comes out of the storm, hits the ground, and then spreads out in all directions. And sometimes that shows itself on our display here as kind of these diverging blobs like this. You don't see a tight couplet. You don't see any kind of S shape to the velocity data there. So chances are a tornado is not imminent with that activity out towards Loudonville and just south of Worcester. Heading towards Walnut Creek. Now, these are some of the areas that got hit really hard Monday night. Some of these places may still be without power. I have a lot of family down in Tuscarawas County around New Philadelphia and Dover, and they've had a miserable couple of days down there. They got slammed by the storms a couple of times Monday night, and then it was 93 degrees with heat index values above 100 yesterday, and not much better today. And so it's been pretty miserable where the power outages have lingered. And some of these storms today, right now, are rumbling through some of those same locations. So hopefully we don't have more power problems today as a result of today's storms. Let's go back up to northern Trumbull County, where you see these brighter reflectivity values around Mesopotamia, Bloomfield. No doubt some heavy tropical rains here, but also no doubt some hailstones. And in fact, let's take another kind of slice of our storm. And this is a good way to illustrate just how tall these storms are. The taller the storm is, typically it has a better chance of producing hailstones because you get stuff. The storm penetrates the sub-freezing layer. It gets really cold, of course, as you go up through the atmosphere. When a storm gets really tall, it goes into some really cold air, and that increases the chances of hailstones being formed. And so some of these, brighter reflectivity colors, no doubt that's hail being lofted 20, 30,000 feet. And once those hailstones get too heavy, they go up and down, but once they get heavy enough, gravity's going to take over and they're going to come down to the ground. So big-time hail definitely occurring now, I think, in northwestern parts of Trumbull County. All right, so resetting here is a look at our viewing area radar look. Things are pretty quiet down in Columbiana County right now. Mercer and Lawrence doing okay. Everyone's under that severe thunderstorm watch, though, until 9 p.m. Mahoning County, it's clouding up. It's hot, it's humid. The atmosphere is really ready to go this afternoon. When we talk about instability in the atmosphere, that's a kind of a combination usually of how hot it is, how humid it is. When you get a lot of heat, a lot of humidity, the atmosphere becomes very buoyant. Air parcels can rise very efficiently. Once those air parcels start rising, and if they encounter colder air aloft, as they typically do, then they can really start shooting up because colder air is more dense, heavier than moisture-laden and warmer air. So a warmer air parcel, once it encounters that colder air, it can really start going upwards fast because the environment it's going into is quite a bit colder. When you run into too much warmer air aloft, air parcels have a harder time rising, and sometimes you see us talk about a capping inversion, where the temperature actually starts rising as you go up through the atmosphere, and that tends to prohibit thunderstorm activity from getting too bad because the air just can't keep on rising as efficiently. But as you can see, our instability values this afternoon are pretty darn high. We have temperatures, once again, much like yesterday, that penetrated the lower 90s. We have dew points still in the 70s. It's still a tropical air mass. That's going to change over the next couple of days, but today is not that dissimilar from yesterday. It's not quite as bad as yesterday. The heat index is not going to hit the 105 range today, but it's still pretty bad. And so, with this cold front approaching during the hottest part of the day, pretty good recipe for severe weather out there this afternoon. A lot of us got missed, of course, in our TV viewing area Monday night. It was not a miss for most of Ohio. I mean, these storms, caused tornadic activity, damaging winds. There were estimated wind gusts of 94 miles per hour just south of Worcester Monday night. And so a lot of us, we've heard a lot of comments in our TV viewing area about how that was a bust and it was overhyped and that sort of thing. But it was only a matter of 50 or 70 miles that the storms just missed our area by. And we should be glad that they missed our area. We did not want any part of what happened off to our west Monday night. All right, severe thunderstorm warning runs until 3:45, including Mesopotamia, Bristol, Mecca, Kinsman, Gustavus. This is mostly north of Cortland, north of Champion, north of Warren. Now, the southern tier of Trumbull County is not in a severe thunderstorm warning, so that includes Newton Falls, Lordstown, Wethersfield, Churchill, Vienna, Warren, over towards Hubbard. You're not in a severe thunderstorm warning. The severe storm is closer to the Ashtabula line right now, producing large hail, vivid lightning, and some gusty winds as well. The wind gusts probably on the order of 50 to 60 miles per hour coming through North Bloomfield, coming into Mecca very, very shortly. You can see it right there, right around Bristol, just south of Bloomfield. We can probably sample a good 50 to 60 mile per hour wind on the radar here around Route 45, around the Bristol area, where 45 meets 88 east of Farmington, and around the Bristol area. That's where the worst of the wind right now is on the radar. So heads up in Mecca, Johnston, Gustavus, over towards Kinsman. You've only got a couple of minutes. This is moving at a pretty good clip. Now, if you're watching us from Mercer County, you got a little bit of time to prepare for this storm, but especially a heads up in northwestern Mercer County, closer to Greenville, heading up towards the Shenango Reservoir into Crawford County, especially that northwestern part of Mercer. You'll need to watch this very carefully. I would not be surprised if you're put under a severe thunderstorm warning by the National Weather Service in Pittsburgh here over the next handful of minutes. Other active warnings off to our west. This is a new one. They extended the warning polygon for that storm south of Worcester to include Tuscarawas County, parts of western Carroll County. Those are counties covered by the Pittsburgh National Weather Service Office. The Cleveland Weather Service Office extended the warning to cover southern Stark County until 4:15. So just south of Canton, down I-77, closer to Bolivar, closer to Strasburg, and then down towards Dover and New Philly. Again, just what that area doesn't need, more thunderstorms after huge storms Monday night and being without power for many places over the last, over 48 hours. So, new warning there. If everything keeps holding together, I would expect we'll have warnings in Mahoning and Columbiana here at some point before the 3 o'clock hour is over. Is NWS Chat up and running, Andrew?
Yeah, it's back up a little bit. I think it's a little bit behind, but the National Weather Service in Pittsburgh is saying they're going to be working on it here in the next, this afternoon.
Yeah, NWS Chat is a kind of a chat room, if you will, full of National Weather Service meteorologists, television meteorologists, emergency managers, and it's where we can first see when they issue some sort of product, a new warning, a new watch, something like that. It's a system that needs an upgrade. that is for sure. It's a great system, but it is in need of being modernized and refreshed, and it's been down at times this afternoon, which makes us very anxious because we like to know when the warnings are issued immediately. A little sound goes off that can alert us to that, and when the site keeps crashing, it kind of stresses us out. But right now, it seems like we're doing okay. Let's hope that continues. All right, so for those just joining us, we started a live stream a little while ago to cover severe weather risks this afternoon. Severe thunderstorm watch runs until 9 p.m. For all the counties in yellow, and that includes our entire TV viewing area. The severe weather risk will probably be over before 9 o'clock. I would say in most of our areas, the show is going to be over by 6 or 7. So they'll probably start stripping away some of these western and northern counties well before 9 p.m. But as it stands right now, severe thunderstorm watch runs until 9. The threats this afternoon, by far and away the biggest threats are wind and hail. And I mean some decent-sized hail. This isn't just at times going to be that little pea-sized stuff. We could have some hail that can cause some problems this afternoon. A tertiary threat, an isolated tornado. You'll notice a tornado watch is in effect for areas well to our east, for central PA up into a lot of upstate New York. That's where the tornado risk is highest, but the tornado risk here locally not zero. Enough wind shear, modest wind shear, that we'll have to be on the lookout for possible rotation in any storm that does manage to get going.
Yeah, and Eric, we are right now clearing about hail about an inch in diameter over towards the Mesopotamia Bloomfield area, right around right along 45 and 87. And that's, of course, going to be a few minutes behind, but that's just kind of the hail that we're seeing being picked up now. Yeah,
this is the track of the hail. It's northern Trumbull County right here, and while you may have heard Andrew just mention this is a product that is what we call kind of a derived radar product, which means it takes a couple of minutes to process and display graphically, which typically means it's a couple of minutes behind real time. This hail core is probably more in this zone through here, just north of maybe Mosquito Lake, on the northern end of Mosquito Lake, coming towards Gustavus. That's pretty decent-sized hail. I would say, at least quarter size. Looking at my maybe a little more real-time, kind of off-camera radar source, that hail core, it's kind of hugging the Ashtabula-Trumbull line, and the radar is estimating maybe 1 to 1.25 inch diameter hail. So that's pretty decent sized hail. Now that's not softball size or anything like that, but that's big enough that it can maybe dent your windshield, maybe, especially if it's wind driven. And it can maybe dent your siding, especially if it's wind driven. So again, the hail threat is something we got to take seriously this afternoon. It's usually not a huge problem around here. We don't live in a particularly hail prone area, large hail at least. But this is one of those situations that lots and lots of lift in the atmosphere through the coldest parts of the atmosphere above our heads, at least in the lower atmosphere. And so it's a recipe for some hail this afternoon. Severe thunderstorm warning still out until 3:45 for this kind of northern tier of Trumbull. I would expect a new warning to probably be issued by the Pittsburgh office for parts of southern Crawford, maybe northwestern Mercer, here in the next 15 minutes, unless something changes. We'll probably get a new warning, would be my guess, based on the radar trends. Here's a look at the slew of warnings then off to our west with a big beefy storm across east central Ohio. Let's do a slice of this one and show you that, we've got some big tall storms approaching the I-77 corridor. Lots of reflectivity values being lofted 20, 30,000 feet up, so some hailstones and some gusty winds and lots of vivid lightning. Walnut Creek heading up towards Sugar Creek. This is heading out towards what some people refer to as Amish country, east central Ohio, out here in Holmes County, parts of Wayne County, and warnings extend off to the east into Stark, northern Tuscarawas, western Carroll as well. Those warnings run for a while. That's the eastern end of this. That warning is a long fused warning running for a good hour. 4:15 is when that expires. All right, so the Weather Service issued a new warning for Crawford County, PA until 4:30. Let's look at that graphically. So they didn't go Mercer. They did go southwestern Crawford. So severe thunderstorm warning. And again, they're putting some long lead times on these warnings. I mean, this runs for an hour and 15 minutes. These storms are moving relatively quickly, 30 to 40 miles per hour, but maybe in the interest of not having to issue multiple warnings for each individual storm, they're just putting out these warnings for an hour and 15 minutes or at a time, and so they don't have to necessarily then update it a bunch of times. May not be a bad strategy this afternoon. So that's up in Crawford County, PA. New severe thunderstorm warning just north of our viewing area. Still watching northwestern Mercer because we might get grazed. Greenville, heading up towards Jamestown, West Salem, places like that. We may get grazed by this hail core. It's going to be kind of a close call over there. Again, once you're south of the warning, we're getting a pretty decent downpour now south of that warning polygon, closer to the Warren area, especially out towards Howland and Bezetta, into the Cortland area as well. So this is near the Trumbull County Fairgrounds. And a downpour here, might be a few small hailstones in this, but no warning issued for that little appendage right now. I just got a tweet from one of our spotters talking about a potential wall cloud near Howland looking north. All right, so let's share this. See if we can share this with you.
And Eric, to your point about the severe thunderstorm lead times, this just came over from the National Weather Service in Cleveland. Severe thunderstorm warning from Ashland, Holmes, Knox, Marion, Morrow, and Richland until 4:45.
Yeah, the newest severe thunderstorm warning, as Andrew just mentioned, out in east central Ohio, runs for an hour and a half. That thing runs, they just issued it, runs till 4:45. For those watching on YouTube and Facebook, Tyler Berry, one of our area storm spotters that we oftentimes rely on for great pictures, he spotted this. I just showed you the radar in Trumbull County south of the warning polygon. This was near the Howland area. Possible lowering and maybe a wall cloud trying to form here. Let's look at the velocity data. And I don't see a whole lot of evidence. Let's switch over to the Pittsburgh data here. Not a lot there. We're pretty far from both radar sites once you get down closer to Warren. An interesting picture, nonetheless, but I don't see a lot on the radar right now to suggest that rotation is going to be much of an issue. But we're going to keep a close eye on that. Thanks to Tyler for...
They just continued now, the National Weather Service of Cleveland continued that warning for Trumbull until 3:45.
All right, so another half an hour to go on that northern Trumbull warning. The Weather Service also mentioning they're having a lot a lot of problems disseminating their warnings this afternoon. Things are a couple minutes behind, which isn't great, but we're at the mercy of technology, unfortunately, a little bit this afternoon. Northern Trumbull, 3:45, your warning expiration time. We're keeping an eye on the eastward progress of this. We'll have to watch it in northwestern Mercer. No warning yet in Mercer, but still wouldn't be surprised if the Weather Service pulled the trigger on a warning for that northern tier of Mercer County, because that's a pretty strong ball of wind, it looks like, still coming through the Mecca area, far northern end of Mosquito Lake, heading towards Kinsman, Gustavus, Johnston. And there we go. New warning until 4 p.m. for parts of Mercer. Actually, a lot of Mercer.
Yeah.
They basically, well, they didn't put
the county there.
Not the whole county, but almost the whole county, down to about I-80. So there's your new warning till 4 p.m. for central and northern Mercer County. Risks here include hail and winds of up to 60 miles per hour. The farther south you are in this Mercer polygon, I think the smaller the chances are you have of severe weather. So once you get down towards Sharon, Lackawanna, Mercer, down towards Grove City, this may just miss to the north, but definitely worthy of watching once you're up towards Greenville, and then maybe eventually over towards New Lebanon as well.
And Eric, as far as our viewing area is concerned, of course we have those two warnings in Trumbull and Mercer, and we have kind of a couple of just blobs of tropical downpours pushing through the Kent area into the far western edges of our viewing area. Other than that, if you go Canton off to the southwest, that line, which is actually built pretty impressively, and has severe thunderstorm warnings all attached to it, is moving clear off to the south and southeast of our viewing. It's going to miss our viewing area completely.
Yeah. Andrew mentioning that this kind of southern end of the line, where a lot of warnings are out, so anything kind of south of Mansfield is going to miss us to the south. So we're going to have a busy couple of hours here, but we may be in the clear fairly quickly, because a lot of us are going to be impacted by just kind of the central and northern edges of this line.
Yeah, and if you go down to the Cortland to Warren area, just off to the east of Warren to the county line, or the state line rather, they did issue a new warning for Trumbull. So they kind of drew that a little bit off to the south, from Cortland to kind of the eastern edges of Warren.
Yeah, new warning here. With probably some hail and some strengthening winds. And this is where Tyler Berry thought he might have spotted a wall cloud trying to form. I'm still not seeing much on the radar that would strongly suggest rotation, but maybe a lowering, and certainly a chance that we're seeing some decent-sized hail right now around Howland and Cortland. So heads up over towards the airport, maybe eventually over towards Yankee Lake as well. I see with the Weather Service having issues with their product dissemination that all these warnings are not being posted on our social media. So let me go ahead and type up a post real quickly here. I'm going to go off camera for just a moment while I post on social, so bear with me on the stream here for just a moment. Social's catching up now. Alright, so maybe I don't need to post that manually. Alright, just mentioning that with the data issues the Weather Service is having this afternoon, it's delaying the posting of these warnings on our social media channels, which is annoying. But it looks like maybe we're starting to catch up now.
Looks like that hail is picking up too, heading into the just south of Cortland, close to Vienna there, along 46, pushing over 11 into 193 too. So definitely an emerging hail core here, just south and east of Mosquito Lake in the Cortland area, just south and east of Bezetta, right around the airport. We might be seeing some hail of at least a quarter size right now. This is heading off to the east, so heads up over towards Route 7 in eastern Trumbull County, closer to Yankee Lake and Hartford. That's part of the reason why the warning was issued. There's also some wind with this, but this is definitely a hailer. The other hailer is up here in northern Trumbull County.
Closer to... Oh, it looks like the hail is starting to actually diminish now that this is along the state line. So that's good news. Looks like the hail core that was coming towards northwestern Mercer, southwestern Crawford is diminishing. As far as the wind, not much to see there off the Pittsburgh radar, off the Cleveland radar. Still some gusty winds, but that may be a weakening segment of the storm. We may have to concentrate a little more in the short term here down into central and eastern Trumbull County. Down here, this is where the hail core is right now, right around the airport. We can do a quick slice of this. And there you go. That's a big tall storm up to 50 with an overshooting top. It looks like up to 60,000 feet. There's your overshooting top right there. Really cool to be able to check this out. And if you can get a look at this visually, you can try to match up what the computer's depiction of this is with real life. If you see kind of a little bulge at the top of the cumulonimbus cloud, that's what we call an overshooting top, where one little section of the storm, the air parcels just keep on rising a little bit over the top of the rest of the top of the cloud. Kind of cool to see. So what's not cool to see, big time hail though, especially if it's going to threaten property and your car and things like that. So again, if you have a car outside this afternoon and you have the option of putting it under a carport or into a garage, that'd be a good idea, because while this is the only big hail producing storm we have in the area right now, any storm over the next couple of hours will have this potential to bring some big time hail. I'm looking at my off-camera radar source here, and this is estimating up to 2 inches in diameter now, southeast of Cortland, again right around the airport, or just north of the airport, just barely north. This is big hail, and this is the animation of the swath. This really just started erupting about 10 minutes ago, just south of Mosquito Lake, this hail core, and all of a sudden we've got big hail falling out of this storm. So again, heads up in the Hartford area, Yankee Lake, Brookfield, the Vienna area. This is primarily around and just north of the airport, closer to Fowler. Severe thunderstorm warning out because we've got big time hail moving through right now. Just got a video on Twitter of wind-driven rain. I believe this is in Trumbull County. Let's see if I can show you this real quickly. No, I'm not going to be able to show you that. All right. Well, we got a video of some wind-driven rain. I didn't get a location on it, but I believe it is in Trumbull County somewhere. Chances are, based on the radar, it's got to be. Not seeing anything else of note right now on Twitter. So yeah, heads up for the big hail in Trumbull County, in eastern parts of Trumbull County now especially. Off to the west, let's not forget about what's going on upstream. This activity off to the west is moving east at about 40 to 45 miles per hour. Warnings are out down in Tuscarawas County, parts of Stark County, western Carroll County, and then out towards areas closer to the Worcester area. And all of that is heading off to the east. This is going to start impacting our viewing area here in the next couple of hours, although a lot of this, as Andrew mentioned, maybe 10 minutes ago, a lot of this is going to try to scoot by to the south. So this particular core that's kind of on the Stark-Tuscarawas County line near Strasburg and Bolivar, this may be diving more towards Carrollton and then eventually down into the Cadiz area and closer to Steubenville. This may be a miss. I like the direction that's heading, so that's maybe some good news. In the meantime, the bad news is we've got active warnings in our northern counties now, including parts of Trumbull and a lot of Mercer. Of particular concern right now is this hail-producing storm in east central and eastern parts of Trumbull County. This is passing by the airport right now. It's heading towards Route 7, Brookfield, Yankee Lake, Hartford. It's starting to rain. We're getting some hail coming in, and our software is depicting some pretty decent-sized hail here, maybe up to 1.5 inches or so, at least in diameter. You're talking about golf balls, perhaps, once you get up to that size. In fact, I've got a graphic here I can show you real quickly, showing different hail sizes. When we talk about 1 inch, that's generally quarter size. Once you're up to 1.5 inches, 1.75 inches, that's golf ball size hail. Baseballs and softballs are very unusual around here. It happens once maybe every decade. We had a big hailstorm in the Akron area late in the 2000s, like 2008, something like that. But that size hail is really rare around here. But golf balls we see maybe a couple of times a year in northern Ohio, eastern Ohio, and this is shaping up to be one of those days. Looks like things are flowing on NWS chat, Andrew. I'm not...
Yeah, they're starting to pick back up.
All right.
So everything's starting to go out as scheduled.
Yeah. Tracking the weather's hard enough, but when you're crippled by technology, it gets even harder. So keeping an eye on what's going on to our west, but I actually like some of the kind of trends with this, with a little bit more of a southward bend to the worst of this. This is moving into Tuscarawas County right now, heads up in Carroll County. But a lot of the worst of this may be just trying to miss southern Columbiana to the south. It's going to be a close call maybe in Salineville and heading over towards Summitville. But probably a lot of it is going to, at least the worst of it, is probably just going to pass by to the south. Active warnings are still out to the north, though, of that zone, and that includes in our TV viewing area, Trumbull and Mercer counties. In Trumbull County, we have another 15, 17 minutes to go on this warning in the eastern part of the county with a hail-producing storm. Warning until 4 for a good chunk of Mercer. The northern fringe weakened some and moved into Crawford County. What's become a little bit more of a concern is actually what's going on, near the airport now and over towards Route 7 in eastern Trumbull. So heads up in Sharon and Hermitage and Sharpsville and maybe Wheatland or just north of Wheatland, and eventually maybe over towards Cool Spring, Fredonia, and Mercer. You are under a warning until 4, and this line of storms that has some hail with it looks to be tracking your way here as we go through the second half of the 3 o'clock hour. Real quickly, seeing my comments flying by on Facebook, someone just asked, are we concerned about the second wave of storms? I've been talking a little bit about, this next wave back here. A lot of this is going to try to miss us to the south, it looks like. So we like the looks of that. The atmosphere is still, very warm and muggy off to our west, so I'm not going to be able to rule out just yet maybe some stuff trying to form upstream a little bit, maybe closer to Cleveland and Akron. But those places have had now some rain-cooled air stabilizing the atmosphere a little bit. So we'll keep an eye on it, but it may be the case that a lot of this activity down towards New Philly that has a warning on it misses us to the south. We deal with what we're dealing with now, and then the rest of the day things may be quieting down in a decent at a decent time. So we'll keep our fingers crossed on that. Weather Service continuing the warning for Mercer until 4 o'clock with a chance of hail up to 1.5 inches in diameter. What they're watching there is the 1.5 inch diameter hail that is moving into Hartford and Yankee Lake right now. I mean, this is one of the more impressive hail signatures I've seen this year for our area, and maybe even in the last couple of years. So this is coming close to the state line right now. So again, it's about to hail, if it's not already, just across the state line into Mercer County, near 718, 846, Sharpsville, South Pymatooning, Orangeville. This is right over Yankee Lake right now, a big hail-producing, loud storm pushing through.
Eric, if you go to the national, or you go to the velocity, the Cleveland velocity data, I believe this is might be a hail spike or maybe just some broad rotation on the Cleveland side of things on their velocity data, right over where that big hail is pushing through, just off to the east of and between Vienna and Brookfield.
That looks to me like it may be a hail spike.
Yeah. Because if you go to the National Weather Service in Pittsburgh, it's some real broad stuff, but that's so far away from the radar that it looks to me, based off the colors and everything, that it would probably be.
Yeah, it bears watching, but sometimes when we have big hail and storms, the size of those hailstones can kind of make the data a little bit wonky because the beam gets scattered by those big hailstones, and we call it a three-body scatter spike. And sometimes sometimes it's easier to just say hail spike, and sometimes that can happen. And this looks to me like that, but it definitely bears watching. You look at the Pittsburgh velocity data, and at first blush, that's a little bit concerning, right around Yankee Lake. But we'll keep an eye on it. Probably with hail this big, it's more of a hail spike.
Yeah.
Someone mentioning an emergency manager mentioning no hail observed in Cortland, Central Trumbull. I guess it depends on what part of Cortland he was in, because definitely just south of Cortland. I'd be shocked if we didn't have hail earlier on, just south of Cortland. But in Cortland proper and then on north closer to Johnston, you probably missed the hail up there. That was from an emergency manager. Where you see these brighter pinks and whites, that's where the hail core and the heaviest rain is right now. It's also where most of the lightning is. So again, this is coming across the state line as we speak. We're going to have to shelter for a little while and stay out of the way of this. In Sharpsville, South Pymatuning, and the Sharon area, especially the north side of Sharon, closer to Sharpsville, just north of Hermitage probably, but if you're watching from the Hermitage area, this is going to be awfully close to you. If you're watching us down in Mahoning County, you know, you may be in a little bit of a squeeze play here with a lot of this severe stuff staying to the north right now, and a lot of the activity off to the west may be missing you to the south. This warned storm just south of Canton, kind of between Canton and New Philly, closer to Bolivar and Strasburg. This probably is going to miss even Columbiana County to the south, or maybe a very close shave in the southwestern corner of Columbiana. So in Mahoning, storms to the north, storms to the south, maybe we don't get a whole lot in Youngstown and Boardman and Canfield.
It looks like the only thing that Mahoning County would get is that kind of blob of heavier rain that's now pushing northeastward towards the 224 area.
Yeah, this is sub-severe. Yeah, it's a tropical downpour, no doubt. But as it stands right now, no wind and hail threat with this. Now, it is heading into an environment that has not been touched by storms yet, so we'll keep an eye on this activity, and maybe it pulls in enough juice to go up. As you've seen, these storms are going up fast this afternoon, a very unstable air mass this afternoon, and so stuff can shoot up 30,000 feet and produce thunder and lightning and heavy rain and hail and all sorts of stuff really, really fast this afternoon. All right, so new warning out towards Coshocton and Tuscarawas. Again, that's probably going to miss our TV viewing area, most of the severe part of that. I looked at the velocity data a moment ago, but I want to go back and do a quick slice of this just to give you a sense. I know this is more nerdy than practical, but I like to show you this stuff to show you just how tall and powerful these storms are. This storm that's over the state line right now around the Sharon area, getting up to 60,000 feet or so, and hail is being lofted 30,000 feet, 40,000 feet in the air. If you've been on an airplane before, that's about cruising altitude, about 30 to 35,000 feet. And so you're getting hailstones up at that level where the temperatures, the ambient temperatures, are well below zero, more than likely. And so you can get big hailstones, and then eventually, as those hailstones pick up enough moisture and enough moisture kind of accrues on them, gravity takes over, they fall to the ground. And yeah, we've seen some radar evidence of some big-time hailstones. The velocity data still, I think, is a little bit wonky. Right over the state line, let's get a better look at that for you. You know, this, at first blush, may be a little rotation right along the state line, Yankee Lake on east. Heads up for that, but as we mentioned a moment ago, a little bit of radar meteorology here. When you have hailstones this big, the velocity data can get kind of wonky. Because the big hailstones can scatter that radar beam in different directions and return data to the radar that may be a little bit deceptive. So sometimes it's a little bit hard to tell what's real and what's the radar kind of messing up in these situations when you have these big hailstones. So there's your hail swath. This formed really quickly south of Cortland. Moved across the Vienna area and is now crossing the state line into Mercer County, where a severe thunderstorm warning runs for another 25 minutes until 4 p.m. If you're in northern Mercer County, you kind of dodged a bullet a little bit. We had a big thunderstorm in northern Trumbull that kind of veered a little bit up into Crawford and weakened some. So we're getting a thunderstorm and some rain up towards Greenville, but nothing crazy up here right now. The concern has shifted more to the south with the storm that just suddenly kind of popped up around Cortland or just south of Cortland and is now just pummeling the Sharon area, South Pymatuning, and Sharpsville with all sorts of hail and wind and rain and vivid lightning as well. If you're watching this from western PA around Sharpsville on north, if you're seeing hail, if you're seeing anything interesting, make sure you let us know. Send us any pictures, weatherpics, P-I-C-S, that's the email address, weatherpics@wfmj.com. You can tag us on social media. Now, on a busy day like this, I'm going to miss a lot of Facebook comments as they roll past, but I will be sure and look at them eventually, that is for sure. Got a few pictures from the Erie area up in northwestern PA that I can quickly show you. I got this on Twitter. Let's show you that. Some wind damage up towards Erie, PA, in northwestern Pennsylvania. Some big-time storms up there where severe thunderstorm warnings have been out. And the severe weather risk overall may be maximized for a little while longer once you're far enough into PA up into New York as well. Again, broader view of things. I know people are hopping in and out of the stream and maybe just joining us. We started this live stream earlier on with severe thunderstorms moving through parts of the area. A little bit of a squeeze play going on right now when you look at the radar loop. I'll put a 45-minute loop on this. We have storms that are just going to look like mostly diving to our south. And so the severe weather that New Philly is seeing, Dover, Strasburg, Bolivar, up towards kind of the south side of Canton, a lot of that's going to dive more towards Carrollton and then eventually down towards Steubenville. We're getting pummeled by heavy storms now along the state line, Trumbull over to Mercer. But in between, we've got a little bit of rain in Mahoning County and maybe heading towards Lawrence County here momentarily. But we may be kind of dodging a bullet a little bit in the central part of our viewing area.
Yeah, and somebody with the National Weather Service in Pittsburgh just came across and actually talked about that that velocity data a little bit and said that hail is going to be the main threat. They're going to upgrade that threat from the tennis ball size hail.
Yeah. Yeah, so for those watching on YouTube and Facebook, Andrew mentioned the NWS in Pittsburgh kind of increasing the significance of the severe thunderstorm warning and mentioning hail up to 2.5 inches in diameter. That's getting to be about a tennis ball size because of what is going on in western Mercer County. And they also are mentioning what we were talking about a moment ago, that the radar data can be contaminated a little bit by the presence of big hail, big-time hail. And so sometimes velocity data can be a little bit scary, but there's not actually rotation because the radar is returning false readings because it's getting scattered by all those big hailstones. So it's nice to see the Weather Service kind of concurring with what we were talking about a few moments ago. But it's not often we have a severe thunderstorm warning around here that includes mention of 2.5-inch diameter hail. Yikes.
And I would imagine the National Weather Service in Cleveland probably trims this warning back relatively soon here in Trumbull County, where it's already passed through the Vienna area.
Yeah. So the warning in Trumbull runs for another 5 minutes. They'll probably... They just let it go. Yeah, we're on it. We're ahead of the Weather Service by a couple of minutes here today. We mentioned Andrew was mentioning the Weather Service killing the warning in Trumbull County a little early, and they just did. So even though graphically this is still here till 3:45 in Trumbull, if you're watching us from Trumbull County in that warned area, Vienna over towards the state line, the warning has been allowed to expire. The concern now is in Mercer County with this big, tall storm moving through with big-time hail. So there you go. That's a doozy of a thunderstorm that's moving through western Mercer right now. Take this one seriously. Again, if you've got a car that's sitting out over towards the central part of the county, over towards Route 19, Fredonia down to Mercer, if you have a carport or a garage or something to cover that car with, it'd be a good idea to do that. This is the kind of hail that is of the size that can dent things, that can dent your car. If it's wind driven into the side of your house, it could produce some siding damage as well, in addition to messing up maybe your garden and your flowers and things like that. There's not much you can do about that. But this is the kind of hail that we are dealing with this afternoon. Weather Service in Cleveland canceled the warning out towards Holmes, parts of Stark and Wayne. But in our TV viewing area, yeah, big hailstorm. On this particular graphic, the swath is the kind of orange and yellow colors. We're seeing evidence now of hail that's at least 1.5 inches in diameter, maybe up to 2 inches or so. I'm going to take a better look at that in my other radar source here. You can never have too many radars, that is for sure. I've got my laptop, I got our graphics in front of me here, I got Andrew behind me. We got all these screens in front of us. And yeah, I think we're around Clark, Sharpsville. Yeah, we're probably seeing hail up to 2 inches in diameter. That's big hail. That is impressive stuff. Now, I haven't seen any pictures on Twitter, at least, that anybody has sent me. Andrew, have you seen anything? Have we gotten any emails or?
The only one I got is from a guy that is some media out in the Akron area, and I don't exactly know where Wilmot, Ohio is. I'm assuming it's in Summit County or somewhere around that. And I retweeted it on Twitter. It's some pretty small hail, so I'd imagine it was probably
I'm not sure where Wilmont is either. It's probably a pretty small place.
Yeah.
All right, so if you do have any pictures of hail or of anything interesting, send them along. weatherpics@wfmj.com is the email address.
Stark County.
That's in Stark County. All right. Someone just mentioned a thunderstorm. Where was that comment? Just scrolled by. Thunderstorm in Camel right now. So this activity in Mahoning County is trying to perk up a little bit. I don't think there's actually a thunderstorm in Camel right now, but you may be hearing thunder. But the heavier echoes are off to the south and west, closer to Ellsworth, Canfield, out towards White House, places like that.
Yeah, it looks like the sub-severe kind of northern fringe of this huge line off to our southwest is going to impact, right now moving through kind of the western edges of Columbiana. It's sub-severe.
Mm-hmm.
New Franklin, Hanoverton will push towards the Lisbon area. So they'll get in on some rain, but everything looks sub-severe
Yeah,
at
so,
this point.
yeah, so we may be really dodging a bullet here, especially in northern Columbiana and up into Mahoning. Still have to watch central and southern Columbiana. It looks like a little bit of a grazing here, probably some thundery rains, but it looks to me like the core of this severe thunderstorm is aimed at Sherrodsville, maybe just south of Carrollton, and then eventually down towards the West Virginia Panhandle, closer to the Steubenville area. So that may be a near miss. We like that. And upstream, we got a new cell trying to form up in Geauga. And upstream, we'll have to keep an eye on what's going on up towards Cleveland if anything new pops up. But this may be, out of here in fairly short order this afternoon, because once we clear this off the playing field in Mercer County, it doesn't look like much in the way of severe is imminent beyond that. But we,
And one report on National Weather Service chat out of Cleveland, Eric, of somebody getting a couple of reports in the Burton area, which is Geauga County, of some trees down, wires down, that sort of thing. A pretty vague report, but something that they might be circling back on. So
yeah, some damage reports up in Geauga County, and that's the storm that prompted the warning in northern Trumbull earlier on. That northern Trumbull warning has been allowed to expire here at 3:45. So we have no more active warnings in our Ohio counties, but in Mercer County, a big hailstorm is pushing through right now, and so heads up in Mercer, in Cool Spring, and Fredonia. Get ready for a big thunderstorm with a big hail threat. And we're still getting comments about people not buying the severe weather threat, and people a little anxious about missing the severe weather threat the other night, and so therefore we're never going to see severe weather again. That's the kind of thing that we've been dealing with this week, because the severe weather threat Monday night was 50 miles to the west. Some people were a little bit sarcastic, shall we say, about that. All right, so this warning runs for another 15 minutes. It'll be interesting to see. Maybe they have to issue a new warning for the eastern part of Mercer to replace this one, because this may not be out of Mercer in 15 minutes. It may still be in eastern Mercer at the top of the hour.
we just got a picture in too to weather pics of some hail in the Hartford area. This looks like it's obviously some very small hail. So
Okay.
Quarter size hail, maybe something even smaller.
Okay. Let's see here.
Kinda pick that just by looking at it, but
Let's see if I can show that to you on the stream here. We did, as Andrew just mentioned, we got a picture of some small hail earlier in the Hartford area. Yeah, nothing real big there, that is for sure, but that was the start of this bigger hail producing storm. I see we got an email of scary looking clouds from Shelley, but that's about it on that one. Again, if you have some pictures of the hail or anything else, weatherpics, PICS at WFMJ.com is the email address. New warning for Carroll, Harrison, Jefferson, Tuscarawas. So again, that's what's diving off to our south and west. Tom on Facebook mentioning, saw a couple of random hailstones that were probably almost golf ball size, and then it stopped. He was in northern Hermitage, almost to Clark. So just about golf ball size, briefly, mentioned Tom on Facebook. Thanks for that report, Tom. Golf ball size hail is definitely a possibility as the storm moves through Mercer County. Take this one seriously. This is a wind threat, but also a hail threat as well. And real quickly, we haven't talked much about the wind because we've been focused on the hail. Here's a look at the latest wind velocity data off the Pittsburgh radar. And, there's some gusty winds in here. It's hard to say if any of this is getting up to severe limits, up to 55, 60 miles per hour. I don't see a lot of that on the radar right now. And so that may be a secondary concern. It's not often we say around here that hail is the bigger concern, but with this storm, it definitely is, with big hail moving through the central part of Mercer right now. The warning runs until 4 p.m., another 12 minutes, maybe replaced by a new polygon in the eastern part of Mercer as we get closer to the top of the hour. Not sure if this is completely out of Mercer at 4 p.m., maybe a close call. Again, down in Columbiana County, we're getting clipped a little bit in parts of Mahoning and Columbiana County by some rain, a little bit of a downpour, but nothing crazy, and this severe weather here is missing you to the south and west.
We just got a report in, a local storm report out of Transfer, hail of ping pong size.
Ping pong. Ping pong size hail reported in Transfer, PA in Mercer County. Ping pong.
Reynolds. Somebody just sent a movie in, which is on the weather pics.
Okay.
Check it here, but can't see. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, it looks like we got a picture of small hail as well in the Reynolds Transfer area. Thanks to everyone who is sending us pictures. Weatherpics at WFMJ.com is where you can send those pictures and videos if you can take them safely. I'll be interested to see what the biggest hailstone picture we get is. Radar data isn't the ground truth sometimes. The radar data is pretty impressive, though, with the size of this hail. I would say ping pong to golf ball size hail is pretty common as this moves through. And it's coming into Fredonia right now. It's going to clip Mercer, maybe the north side of Mercer, as you go up 19 towards Cool Spring, towards Fredonia. Hail and gusty winds. Weather Service in Cleveland mentioning the back building that's going on the back side of this line. So, yeah, we can't let down our guard once we get out of the woods here in Mercer County because we got new activity trying to form, sub-severe right now, out towards Geauga County. So we'll keep an eye on that for a couple of hours this evening with this air mass in place, just because this main line pushes through and then it looks like maybe we're done. Maybe we can't call that putt too early because of the unstable atmosphere that still exists over parts of the region. But the main organized severe weather threat is ongoing right now, and once this Mercer County storm gets off the playing field, at least for our viewing area, we may be into a pretty nice lull and maybe even be done for the day. So another doozy of a thunderstorm down here closer to New Philly, heading towards the Steubenville area. This is going to go south of East Liverpool.
If you pull up that latest hail video, Eric, I mean, it looks like heavy snow.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, it's a cool video, and that combined with the heavy rain, it's an interesting video.
All right, so Andrew mentioning we got a good video in. I'm going to try to pull that up, and then I'm going to see if I can show it on the stream. That could be a little bit tricky. Sometimes videos don't do well on the stream. All right, so bear with me on the stream for just a moment while I try to capture this and maybe show it to you. It doesn't look like I'm going to be able to do that easily. Anyway, we did get a nice video in from Corey showing the hail falling. Did he say where that was? No.
He did not.
Pretty decent sized hail falling. Almost looks like snow because of the size of the hail. Oftentimes with hail, you can only see it when it hits the ground, when it bounces off the ground. This is the kind of hail that you can see it falling through the air because the hailstones are so big. So, yeah, definitely some ground truth to the size hail that we are seeing as this moves through Mercer County. Severe thunderstorm warning runs for another 8 minutes. So heads up in Mercer, Cool Spring, Fredonia. This is coming through right now. Now upstream, or downstream I should say, you got a couple minutes to be ready for this in Jackson Center. And looks like Grove City, this is probably going to miss you to the north. We're getting some downpours and some thunder and lightning then and closer to the Crawford line in northeastern parts of Mercer, closer to New Lebanon, French Creek, the Sandy Creek area. Most of that is sub-severe, but a pretty good lightning show, no doubt. The hail core is where we have this pink, and this is moving more due east. So this is going to come over towards the Venango line here as we head towards the top of the hour, and especially just after 4 p.m. So really kind of just right dead in the middle of Mercer County is where this is moving across. In fact, we'll give you a loop on this and show you.
Corey must be watching. He said forgot to say Reynolds, PA.
Oh, okay. So thank you, Corey, for the video from Reynolds, PA.
There's another one of, I can't make out if this is a lower base or if there's just some intimidating clouds. This is in Brookfield. Might just be a turbulent sky. What do you make of that?
That looks kind of shelf cloudish to me.
Yeah.
So we have to be on the lookout for scud today as well with,
Sure.
with the low-hanging clouds and how humid the atmosphere is. But that looks pretty shelf cloud-like to me. That would be my first guess. So we're starting to get a lot of emails in. Thanks to everyone for chiming in. A little bit of lightning now trying to get going in Mahoning County. Picking up one solitary lightning strike right there around Beaver and heading up towards Boardman. And so that's... We'll keep an eye on what's going on there because, again, everything's going up pretty fast today. Now, as this continues pushing, this Mahoning cell, as this pushes off to the east, eventually it may run into some outflow from that big Mercer County storm, and it'll be interesting to see if that outflow interacts with this and maybe makes it go up fast. No doubt some rain-cooled air is being pushed out of that big storm in Mercer County, creating little mini cool fronts. And so maybe one of those will try to get down into Lawrence County, and maybe something we'll have to watch out for as this encounters that boundary. But good news for our area, bad news for those, an hour and a half to our south and west. Big storms, again, New Philly, out towards Sherrodsville along 39. Carrollton area getting grazed by this along 39 as well. But once you head over into Columbiana County, I should say, we're going to get grazed a little bit maybe in Salineville. Close call there, but most of this is probably just going to be to your south and west. It looks like it's a miss for Lisbon and Hanoverton. A little bit of rain, rumble of thunder, no big deal. Up in Trumbull County, here's a look at the current radar. Not much going on with the exception of this lone cell that has popped up in the Burton area, up in the Snowbelt, up in Geauga County. And down in Mahoning County, as I just mentioned a moment ago, we have some rain, a couple of claps of thunder. Boardman area over to Canfield. Gonna bring up our Boardman camera here. Bear with me for a moment. All right, so this is Boardman. We're looking at the Southern Park Mall area. The mall is kind of right above my heads. This is 224 looking towards Poland. Let me move this camera around. Get a better look at the darkening skies. Yeah, there's that new warning for eastern Mercer.
Yeah, that's until 4:45. They just scaled that back, obviously.
Yeah, so there's a look at the darkening skies and a little bit of wet weather pushing into the 224 corridor in Boardman, close to Market Street, close to the Southern Park Mall here. This is sub-severe, but getting some rain, no doubt. Again, for those just joining us, we've been streaming for a while now. Kind of we'll zoom out and take a look at the broad view and then get into some of the more localized stuff. We have a severe thunderstorm watch until 9 p.m. for our entire television viewing area. I would expect this watch to start to be peeled away before 9 p.m. By our local National Weather Service offices. The severe weather threat, in fact, may be over well before 9 p.m., depending on if we get any new activity trying to pop in the wake of this main line. But this main line, it's a broken line, but it's pushing through right now. We're missing out on the severe weather that's off to our south and west that is impacting Tuscarawas County, parts of Carroll County. Mercer County, we're still getting this severe thunderstorm, but elsewhere sub-severe weather in our area right now with a heavy shower in the Mahoning County area around Canfield over to Boardman, south side of Youngstown. Things are quiet right now in Trumbull County. We'll keep an eye on perhaps this growing heavy shower up towards Middlefield and Burton in Geauga County. But as you can see, there's not a lot right now upstream behind this main line. So new warning is out now for eastern Mercer County. It runs until 4:45. So they've chopped western Mercer out of the warning. We are seeing heavy rain and gusty winds and hail in the central part of the county right now around Mercer, Jackson Center, Cool Spring. Heads up over towards the Venango State or the Venango County line. This is heading your way. It's mostly going to miss Grove City to the north. In fact, it's going to completely miss Slippery Rock to the north. It's missing New Wilmington to the north. Now, if you're watching from Lawrence County and kind of the eastern part of Mahoning County, we'll keep an eye on this guy right here, which is just a shower with maybe a little bit of thunder. It's cruising across 680 right now, heading into Camel and Struthers and Coatesville, places like that. Picture from Shelley of hailstones in transfer. Kind of blurry, but looks like big hailstones for sure. Mark sent us a video, a time lapse.
Severe thunderstorm warning for Trumbull County until 4:45.
Oh, that's that new storm up in Geauga. Yeah. All right, so let me real quickly. All right, let's go look at that new warning. That's this guy up here. All right, so I just mentioned that growing storm up near Middlefield, and it prompted a new severe thunderstorm warning until 4:45 for the northwestern part of Trumbull. We were in a warning earlier in the same part of Trumbull County, and this is a new warning with a new storm. They drew a pretty big polygon here. Its current motion would suggest it's kind of just going to hug the Ashtabula-Trumbull line. So this may be a miss in the Cortland area and Mecca. Maybe a close call, but maybe just a miss to the north. I'm getting a few hail pictures on Twitter. A little video here, so I'm going to retweet that.
Oh wow! Did you see that hail picture, Eric?
It
just came in from Peggy.
No.
Some considerable damage to her windshield.
Oh wow! All right.
This is from. Oh boy, I don't know where exactly she's at. She gave her coordinates, but I can look those up real quick while you show that.
All right. Assuming this is somewhere in Mercer County, but we'll find out. So thanks to Peggy for sharing this picture. I'm going to share it. If you can see it on YouTube and on the Facebook stream as well. This is windshield damage from the big, perhaps golf ball size hail that moved through, and I'm assuming this is in Mercer County, but Andrew's going to try to find an exact location on that. So that is very impressive. So I'm going to take a moment and share that on social media. Did you find a location on that, Andrew?
I am type in the coordinates here, but still trying to pull it up.
Mm-hmm. Looks like
I'm not getting.
it's just east of Clark.
Okay.
I'm just gonna say in western Mercer County. All right, so pardon my social media activity there for a second, but I had to share that picture because it was a very impressive picture of hail damage to a windshield in western Mercer County. Big time hailstorm has been moving through Mercer, hence the severe thunderstorm warnings. New warning up in northwestern Trumbull. This is going to be another kind of hugger along the county line between Trumbull and Ashtabula. So Mesopotamia getting another thunderstorm, and there may be a little more hail with this one.
There's a little ball of wind over towards Middlefield, trying to sprout up a little bit. Or I don't know if that is maybe another hail spike trying to form. I haven't looked at hail data yet, but that's up in Trumbull County.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, there's looks like this growing storm up here in northwestern Trumbull is definitely trying to have some hail with it. Let's do a quick slice of that. Far northwestern Trumbull. This isn't as impressive as some of the storms earlier, but you can see the core of this is still trying to get up to 60,000 feet. Another grower up here. But let's in the near term, let's focus back on Mercer for a moment here. I'll bring up the radar data and the warning data. This new warning polygon in eastern Mercer County runs until 4:45. Now this is probably going to cross over into Venango County here by about 4:15. Probably about another 10 minutes. But it's moving through Jackson Center right now, heading across 173 as we speak, around the I-79 corridor, and especially just to the east of the I-79 corridor. We are seeing a hail-producing storm and some gusty winds as well. We've seen videos, we've seen pictures of some pretty impressive hail as this has moved through. It has been something we don't see very often around here. You know, we're not in a particularly large hail-prone part of the country, but it happens maybe a couple of times a year, and these storms are of that flavor today. All right, Pittsburgh down to Tuscarawas, Muskingum, Harrison, Coshocton, new warning down there. Hang in there for another 10 minutes, eastern Mercer County. Again, I'm not seeing a lot on the wind velocity data here to suggest really, really strong winds. No doubt there's a good puff of wind with this, but I think by far and away the bigger concern is the hail that is pushing through. We've seen evidence now of windshield damage back in western Mercer County earlier on from probably golf ball-sized hail that pushed through that area. Heavy shower, limited thunder and lightning, though, coming into the Newcastle area right now, right along 224 as you go back into Mahoning County, Lowellville, Struthers, Coatesville. All that is no big deal and sub-severe. We'll keep an eye on that to see if it interacts with any outflow from the big Mercer County storm. Down in Columbiana County, so far so good. And while we might hear a little thunder and get a little rain, a lot of this stuff is going to miss you to the south into the west. So once again this week, it's like we've got a shield over us in some parts of our area, especially today in Columbiana and Mahoning. We've had a couple of pretty decent storms in our northern viewing area, Trumbull over to Mercer, but we've had that storm dome overhead again today in a lot of Mahoning and Columbiana. And so if you're a fan of storms, maybe you're a little disappointed, but you got to remember that when we have a severe weather risk of this magnitude, and the magnitude we had the other night, you got to be a little bit careful rooting for storms. Because while weather geeks among us like to watch a good thunderstorm, you got to remember some of these things can be destructive, and some people are going to have insurance claims and problems with these kinds of storms. We missed out on a lot of it the other night, but a lot of people to our south and west did not. We had 3 EF1 tornadoes in central Ohio the other night. We had a 94-mile-per-hour wind gust from straight-line winds, equivalent to an EF1 tornado, also near parts of Holmes County and Wayne County. And so some places, they wish those storms were not impacting their area. So while we all kind of sometimes root for a good storm because we like thunderstorms and we like weather and we like watching storms and things like that, you got to also keep in mind that these things can really mean some business and can be a serious problem for some people.
I was interning at WSYX, which is the ABC affiliate in Columbus, in 2012 when I think the last derecho moved through central Ohio, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone. I mean, it was terrible. Our power was out for 2 weeks. You had to travel a decent amount to get gas. Most of the gas stations ran out of gas, and the heat just ramped up, just like it did the last couple of days.
Yeah.
It's not an ideal situation, and whether you're in an urban environment or even a rural environment where those crews, are struggling to get out to those rural areas, it's not a good situation for anyone.
Yeah, Andrew mentioning the derecho from 10 years ago, not that dissimilar from the situation that a lot of Ohio dealt with over the last few days, where you had a big windstorm that knocked out the power for a few days in the middle of a heat wave, in the middle of July. This one was in June, but it was very much like July, of course, in our area this week. And so, you wouldn't wish that on anybody. I have relatives who have been without power for a couple of days now in 93-degree heat. It is really, really miserable. You can't sleep. And, if you've got small kids, they're miserable too, and it's no fun. So, you got to be a little bit careful rooting for storms, but we've got a couple that we are tracking right now. One is a little bit of a grower up here in northern Trumbull County. I just showed you the hail swaths with this. We've got a warning until 4:45 for the Mesopotamia area, Bloomfield as well. Farmington and Bristol, maybe just missing most of that area to the north, kind of a close call there. Kinsman, this is probably going to try to miss you to the north. Same thing in Johnston and down towards Cortland, probably just missing you to the north. Our other active warning is over here in Mercer County. This runs until 4:45, but this will probably be out of Mercer County, I would say, 4:15 to 4:20, so another 5 to 10 minutes on this. The core of this is already near the county line. So we're out of the woods now, back towards Mercer. And in the western part of Mercer, where you got slammed by the hail earlier, you're out of the woods for the time being. Down in Lawrence County, this shower around Newcastle has not turned severe. It has not really perked up at all. I'll be curious to see if it interacts at all with any cool outflow over the next 15 minutes as it moves to the north and east, up towards Slippery Rock, up towards the southeastern part of Mercer County. But I see no evidence that it's going to try to be mischievous too much at this point. Up in Burton and Geauga County, this was from the initial storm earlier on, 2:47 p.m. More trees down up there. And let's take a slice of this warning up in northern Trumbull. This is yet another pretty decent hail-producing storm, getting tall in the sky. Another one that probably has an overshooting top on it, up over 60,000 feet. And this doesn't look as, big and beefy as some of the earlier storms, but you're probably getting some hailstones in this, and some of these are probably trying to fall to the ground. Looking at my kind of off-camera radar source here, this is not ping-pong size hail, but you might be getting peas, maybe up to pennies, coming out of this up in Trumbull County, northern Trumbull County. All right, so right now it's all good in Columbiana, it's all good in Mahoning. We have a warning out in northwestern Trumbull. This is probably not going to be a problem once you're south of Johnston, Mecca, Bristol, down towards the central part of the county, southern part of the county as well. Our Mercer County storm is only a few minutes away from being east of our TV viewing area and over into Venango County. So this is a problem right now for anyone traveling on I-80 near Barkeyville, near the Mercer County line. And pushing just east of Jackson Center right now. Grove City, you're getting grazed. A lot of this is just trying to miss to the north and east, but it's a close shave in Grove City. Certainly, just north of there, we're getting a pretty good thunderstorm. Hard downpour right now, tropical downpour down in Newcastle, but our radar's not picking up on any thunder and lightning. Anyone who is, in the Facebook comments and asking, is my location going to get anything? Is my location going to get anything? Here's where we stand right now. Let me zoom out. We have 2 thunderstorm warnings for our TV viewing area, one in far eastern Mercer, one in northwestern Trumbull. Elsewhere, things are pretty quiet. That being said, next couple of hours, we're going to keep a close eye on things. We can't rule out more activity trying to pop up out of thin air, if you will, as we head through the late afternoon and early in the evening. The busiest part of the day is right now. A lot of us have missed the storms. A lot of us have gotten a doozy of a thunderstorm. But once we get done with this eastern Mercer and northern Trumbull storm, anything from that point forward should be pretty spotty, pretty stray, if you will, for a couple of hours. So can I say that this location's not going to get a storm and this location will? No, I can't call that right now because stuff can just pop up kind of out of thin air, if you will.
Yeah, there's a couple of little cells out toward the Canton area that are beginning to kind of fire up, and these are just north of that main line. So I'm assuming they're outflow boundary driven.
Yep.
And they're pushing into the Maslin area right now. They're moving right now almost due east, almost just right around. They're riding the Route 30 corridor, and they appear to be moving just east at the moment.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on that stuff that's kind of hugging Route 30 coming into Stark County right now.
Did you see Judy from Transfer, Pennsylvania, her hail that she sent in?
No, I didn't.
It's a rather large hailstone.
No, there you go.
Yeah.
Let's show you that one on the stream. Again, if you're watching us on the app or on the website, I can't show you this, but on social media, there you go. From Judy and Transfer, that's a pretty good hailstone for sure. Thank you to Judy for that. I will share that one on social as well. Thanks to everyone who is chiming in on social media and in our email, weatherpics, PICS at WFMJ.com is where you can send us reports and pictures. We've now gotten several good pictures of hail, video of hail, some ground truth, if you will, with this big hail that pushed through Mercer County over the last hour or so. We've also got a hail-producing storm, although the hail is overall a little bit smaller. It's still hail up towards Mesopotamia near the Ashtabula County line up here in northern Trumbull County, where a severe thunderstorm warning is out for another half an hour until 4:45, including the Mesopotamia area. You're not in the warning over towards Kinsman. Close call there. This is, again, kind of hugging the Ashtabula line. So the farther north in Trumbull you are, the higher chance you have of being impacted by this. All right, so we've seen the warning discontinued now for eastern Mercer as the storm is now pushed east of the county line. So graphically this is still up, but the Weather Service in Pittsburgh has taken Mercer out of that warning. We're getting a little bit of lightning now down in Lawrence County around the Newcastle area, so this is trying to perk up a little bit. We'll keep an eye on that. And again, all is quiet down in Columbiana and into Mahoning as well. I'm going to real quickly, while I have a chance, get into my Facebook messages. More hail pictures and Transfer. That was from Steven. Thank you for that. Looks like golf ball size. Quarter size hail picture, New Hamburg Transfer area. Looks like Transfer got hit pretty hard.
Yeah, based off of our emails, that hail was pretty vicious.
Yeah. So that's just in my Facebook messages. So thanks to everyone who hit me up there. I'll go through the comments here when I can. A lot of Facebook comments in a live stream that they just scroll by, and I can't in real time respond to all of them. So I think at this point we are going to take a break from the streaming coverage, catch our breath, go through those Facebook comments, see what we missed and what is notable, pass those reports along to the National Weather Service. Right now, as it stands, we have no active warnings anymore in our TV viewing area in western PA. Our last active warning is in far northern Trumbull County near the Ashtabula line until 4:45 with some, looks like maybe penny-size hail up here around North Bloomfield, between Orwell and North Bloomfield. Elsewhere, we have no active warnings, but severe thunderstorm watches are still out until 9. I'm not going to say we're out of the woods, but I think we're getting done with the busiest part of the day at this point. Stray activity will remain a possibility, I think, for the next few hours. So we'll keep you updated on social media. We'll have a full recap on 21 News at 6 p.m. and again tonight at 11 as well. Thanks for watching, Andrew and myself this afternoon. and have a great rest of your afternoon.